boxes and stuff that we need to deal with to get out of here. There's Bella. She has no clue what's going on today. Gonna show everybody a pretty shirt. Very nice.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together?
So as you can see, we are in full packing mode. So it may not exactly seem organized, but for example, this is one small box of just Christmas stuff. Most of the Christmas stuff we've already donated or sold. So that's gone. So I know that as I'm going around the house, finding little pockets of things, if I find some little trinket or something that's Christmas related that we want to bring, the box is open, sitting in our living room. I just come and add it. Here's a box of pictures. Originally, we had no idea how many pictures we were going to bring. So I have now gone all around the house, taken all the pictures down that we are going to take with us, and they're all bubble wrapped, and they are ready to go. And there were even a few things that we were going to sell originally that had a pretty hefty price tag because I bought them at galleries years ago. And when push came to shove, I decided I didn't want to donate something of that value because I knew we could use it in our apartment in Nice. So this box is open. There's still a little bit more room before we close it up. And let's see, what do we have here? These are just odds and ends from the kitchen and things that I like to call knickknacks. And I don't want to get crazy with the knick-knack thing because I basically got rid of probably 99% of them. There's not a whole lot to worry about. And let's see, what else do I have? Well, there's my bubble wrap. And then we went through the house and we found all the hats. And so Jeff wasn't sure he wanted to send his hats because he thought they would crush. And then I came up with a box. And all these hats fit perfectly in the box. So they're not going to crush because they're fitting inside of each other, so the hats are going in there. And then let's see what else. Oh, this is our pile of hats that we're selling. Remember these? Those of you that are from the United States. These hats that came out. So there's those, and we have Halloween hats and Jeff's Halloween pimp hat, and and then we have some more hats up there. So we're trying to sell those, but if they don't sell by the end of this coming weekend, which is like the day you're watching this video that it's premiering, then these hats, they'll just be put in a bag and taken over to be donated. Because, I mean, how many hats can we take? So, and here's a little pocket of the king-size sheets. We've already given up our beds, so now we are down to an air bed. And here are the king-size sheets that we're trying to sell. And then here we have this little box that I am making up. This is like soaps and wonderful things that I actually bought in the town of Ez, outside of Nice, on a few trips from Fragonard, which is one of my favorite places to get soaps. This is my favorite soap. It's an orange blossom soap, and it's shaped like a heart. And every time I go, I would buy a couple more to bring home. And then it turned out, there's another box somewhere around here where I've got 4 of them, and I just found 2 more. And we're only going to have one bathroom, so Jeff will be sharing those heart-shaped soaps with me. currently we have 2 bathrooms in the house, and I use my heart-shaped soap by myself, and Jeff uses our guest room bathroom with manly soap. Maybe we'll have to have 2 separate soap dishes in the shower now with our one individual bathroom instead of 2 like we've been living with for years. So the airbed. If you've never enjoyed a night's sleep in an airbed, I can relate, because so far neither Jeff nor I have enjoyed a night's sleep on this airbed. We went from a king-size, really comfortable bed with a very comfortable mattress to a queen-size airbed, and I unfortunately got rid of the mattress pad. I wasn't thinking. So when you lay in this bed, you can feel every seam, everything. I tried putting a big beach towel under the part where our bodies lay and then put the sheet on top. That still didn't make any difference. So here's Bella's little purple blanket. She loves to sleep on that. And you can see we have replaced the nightstand with the airbed box. And this is Jeff's lovely nightstand that he temporarily has clothes in. This is our setup here in the bedroom. Not particularly ideal, but we just keep thinking, it's not going to be for that much longer. So then we have this. Okay, so those 2 black bins, I think Jeff has clothes in those because we sold the dresser, bureau. And down below, I'm living out of the suitcase here. So my clothes day to day are pretty much in there. This pile, there's like 4 little piles. I guess there are maybe 12 dresses there. They're going to get shrink wrapped and put in a box because I don't need them right away. And then I have a few dresses here to hang on to that in case I need to put on a dress, which is fairly rare. But in case I need to put on a dress, I've got like maybe 3 dresses and a wool blazer. Because once our boxes are taken, all our clothes are taken, we are not going to see anything for about another 8 to 12 weeks. So I had to take anything that there is a possibility that I might want to have. And everything else will go in a suitcase. And over here we have boxes in the bedroom. And this is just odds and ends. Like there's a box of jewelry. I put all my earrings in those little books with see-through windows, pages of see-through windows here. That was an easy way to do all of my earrings. And I think I've got one in there for necklaces too. And here we have clothes. And so again, the boxes are open. Because as I find things in closets and other hidden areas, I've got boxes arranged. And then on this weekend, we'll just come through and close up all the boxes and label them. One of the suitcases is all of my, where is it? Oh, this one. Yeah, I took all of my designer shoes. So this suitcase right here, this is all of my designer shoes. And there's another purse, and it looks like, we got one more pair of designer shoes that my darling husband surprised me with for Valentine's Day, unexpected. So anyway, this suitcase is all the designer shoes. I've taken all the boxes and I put them in another box. I don't want to let this out of my sight. So this is going to be one of my carry-on bags when we fly to France. I had suggested to Jeff that I just didn't think that, rethinking what we're going to have as far as closet space, I didn't think we were going to have enough room for all these boxes. He suggested I bring them anyway because the boxes doesn't really weigh all that much. So in the scheme of things, we'll have them. Maybe even I just stick them in the guest room closet, and that's where I keep all the fancy stuff. Who knows? Of course, we have the liquor collection in one box over here, and these are all the bottles of wine that we took out of some wine refrigerators that we sold. So we sold the wine refrigerators, and these are the wine bottles. This is an awful lot of wine for us to drink before we leave, isn't it? I think we're gonna pack a few bottles to take with us. And here are actually a couple of boxes that are actually packed up, taped, and sealed. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ann, and this is Postcards from My Golden Years. So, as you could see, we are in a state of packing here. This is like box central. I can't wait, we can't wait to actually get to France, unpack all of these things on the other end, and live with some sense of organization. I mean, there are pockets of boxes over there, and pockets of boxes over here, and things that are for sale over here and over there, and oh my gosh, I hate living like this. I'm the kind of person, when I come back from a vacation, I have to unpack that day, that very moment. I can't stand a suitcase full of stuff that isn't put away. So, and here I am living in a house full of stuff that isn't put away. So anyway, so by now, if you've been following along with our channel, you know that we did find an apartment. We are so excited. And let me tell you how it all happened, okay? Because I know there are quite a few of you who, at least the ones who have written to us, quite a few of you are planning your move to Nice and other parts of France and maybe other parts of Europe. So, as I mentioned in the past, we contracted with Adrian Leeds, who is the expert on all things expat over there in France. And when it came to be our time, she assigned a representative from her staff, a realtor, an agent, to go find us an apartment, to work with us to go find an apartment. And after all, they're the experts, and we have to listen to, how to do things. So this is how it worked for us. So she contacted us. Now, initially, we had given Adrian a list of, it's like a wish list, we want an apartment that has all of these things. It must have all of these things. And then there was another column, and it's it would really be nice if the apartment has all of these things, but it's not a deal breaker if it doesn't. And then there was this other list of things. It's I will not accept an apartment if it has these things. So they already had that. And when we were assigned a representative, she did a Zoom call from she set up a time, and we met via a Zoom call. I believe it was on a Saturday morning our time, so I'm not sure what time it was over there. I guess early afternoon. Anyway, so she further went into understanding what it is we're looking for. Even though it's on paper, it's good to have a conversation. She understood our price range. And then she went to town and she did research and came back to us with a list of things that she had found available, not things that she had called and made arrangements to go see, because why spin her wheels? So the list that she sent us, she said, I want you to look at each of these listings, tell me everything you love, tell me everything you hate. And that would give her better idea and better direction on what things would excite us and what things wouldn't. And out of a list, we narrowed it down to 2 apartments She then made an appointment, and we did a Zoom walkthrough with her. It was great. It's the first time I ever rented an apartment this way, and let me tell you, I highly recommend it. We didn't have to spend the money for a plane, and she simply contacted us and did a walkthrough of the apartment. We were able to ask questions on the spot. We were able to direct her, can you go show us this? Can you show us that? She was with the management office representative who was showing the apartment. So immediately we could get our questions answered. It was fabulous. I highly recommend it. Of course, there's nothing better than being there. But, we are, how many thousand miles away from Nice, France, living here in Florida. So this certainly beat it. So we did the walkthrough. We picked out an apartment that we like. And then we let her know, okay, this is the apartment we like. Then I wrote a letter. You have to write a letter to the landlord, and as we were advised, it should be a letter from the heart, something that may evoke emotion, what have you. This is what we did. Now, I'm not the expert on writing letters to landlords. I mean, here in the U.S., if I was writing a letter to a landlord, I would put things in there like, my husband's been working for this many years. He's an award-winning architect. We've been saving up for this amount of time, and we have X amount of dollars, and here's a copy of our bank statement, and all of this kind of stuff. We were told right off the bat, French people, they don't make decisions based on money. Yes, of course, the dossier has our financial information, so they're going to know that we can afford the apartment. But when you do a letter to a landlord asking you, or when you do a letter to a landlord asking them to let you be the one they choose for the apartment, you need to make it something special. So what did I do? In my letter, I started by saying we love your apartment, and that it has been a lifelong dream for me to move to France ever since I was a little girl. And I talked about how when I was 10 or 11 years old, I went to the World's Fair in New York. So that's how far back this goes. I don't even think they do World's Fairs anymore. And at the World's Fair, my parents took me to the France Pavilion, and my father bought me a beret. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. I'm gonna be just like a French girl. I imagined myself living in France. And so I would wear my beret everywhere. And it was a thing. I didn't realize until I got to France many, many years later, real French girls don't wear berets. You can buy them in the Latin Quarter or touristy stores, but the beret thing, that's not really a French thing per se. So mostly tourists wear the berets. But anyway, so I told her in the letter that I have loved all things French, and I have been a Francophile since I was a little girl, and that I was in an accelerated program at school that allowed me to start taking a foreign language in 7th grade. And so I studied French all through junior high school, and then for a couple years in college, with my end goal wanting to be a translator at the United Nations, and life didn't take me in that direction. And then I fast forwarded and I said, so, it took me 3 husbands to find a husband who embraced my love of France and embraced it as his dream as well. And that we would love it if she would choose us for this apartment, because it would make one of the last dreams of our lifetime come true, to spend the rest of our golden years living in France. So, I mean, that's not word for word, but that was the sum and substance of my letter. Not any place did I say we have enough money, we can afford it, or anything that had to do with money. It was just simply a nice letter. I don't know if it was the letter that worked. I have no idea. I do know that there were a number of people who viewed that apartment. So we had to keep our fingers crossed that we were chosen, because as Adrian Leeds often says, the landlord is the one who chooses who gets that apartment. So, we are thrilled and excited that the landlord in this particular case chose us. So, there are a few things we have to adjust to once we get there. First of all, we're coming from a 1,600 square foot house, and we're moving into an apartment that I think is somewhere around 650 square feet. That's a big difference. However, we are downsizing with stuff. I don't know if I can downsize my shoes enough, but we'll figure that out when we get there. And so it's going to be an adjustment. But, we've shared with friends, local friends, that we're moving into a 650 square foot or, in round numbers, apartment. And some of them gasped like, oh my goodness, that's small. Well, when you think about it, we're two seniors, and our plan is to go and use that apartment as a kind of a base from which to travel into Italy, travel to Spain, to Portugal, to all the places that we can get to by train in Europe. So sure, it's a little small, but we don't really need a huge place. Now, in our current house, we have 3 bedrooms. In our new apartment, we have 2 bedrooms. Of course, we're going to have some friends come and visit us. We've got a list of people who say that they'd like to come and see us, and we can't wait. And family is always welcome. My son has already purchased airline tickets to come and see us in July, so we're excited about that. And we've got some other friends who have already booked their trips to come to Nice between now and next fall. So we don't really need a lot of space. And the 1 bathroom thing, yeah, I'm not excited about that. But it's kind of rare to find apartments with 2 bathrooms. And after all, it's mostly just going to be Jeff and I. And, the biggest issue we're going to have is that I have girly soap and he has manly soap. And so maybe we'll have 2 soap dishes. It'll be what it'll be. So a lot of people want to know, well, where in Nice is it? It's in a central area. I'm not ready to show you the apartment because it's bare bones. It's a furnished apartment, but what furnished means to me and you may be totally different than what the landlord of the apartment, what it means to her. We're not crazy about some of the furniture in there. Some of it has to be moved from one room to another. We're going to try to make most of it work. A few pieces may be removed. We have to purchase an oven because the apartment was recently renovated, but the owner put in a convection oven and microwave oven, and I'd like to have a full regular oven. So the landlord has allowed us to take those other 2 pieces off. The other 2 pieces are right in where an oven would go. So when we get there, we'll do the measurements and go get an oven. And it doesn't have air conditioning, which is fine with us. We still need the air conditioning, and so we're fine with just going to get there are these long portable units that we've used actually when we've traveled to France and stayed in Airbnbs. Often they have these long units. They work with a remote, turn them on, turn them off. They cool perfectly, and so maybe we'll get one for the bedrooms and possibly one for the living room. We'll have to see. But that's fine. So, we're very happy. We found a landlord who is very open to allowing us to do whatever we want to do to make the apartment feel like home. So once we get there and we unpack and we have furniture, there is furniture there, but we have the furniture we like and it looks like home, then we will give you the apartment tour. So for now, we're just excited. We're looking forward to the shopping. It's got 2 great terraces. One looks like it might be big enough for a table with 4, maybe 6 chairs, which if you know terraces in France, they're often little. And maybe you're lucky if you can get a table and 2 little chairs there. We have one terrace like that off the kitchen, but the other one that's off the living room and bedrooms, that one is the bigger one. So that's the apartment. So some of you have asked about different areas in Nice because you're looking around as well. When we decided where we wanted to be, we decided that we wanted to be along the tram 2 line. Now that goes all the way to the airport, goes all the way to the port, for those of you who know the tram lines. So the tram 2 line takes you to parts of Nice that are not too far from the Promenade des Anglais. We wanted to be no more than 10-15 minute walk from our apartment to the promenade, which on the other side of the promenade, of course, is the beach. And we didn't want to have to get on a bus to go there. So we wanted the option when we get up in the morning, if we want to take Bella for a walk, we can either walk to the promenade or take Bella on the tram and take the tram to a stop that's closer to the promenade. But so that was one of the requirements. So if you pick something that's around on the tram 2 line, it seems to be that puts you in a section of Nice that is close enough. But again, I'm not the expert on Nice. I've been to Nice a few times. Talk to somebody who has been there and knows Nice really, really well. So today I wanted to show you when Jeff and I were in Nice back in November and December. It was suggested that we take a look at the Quartier des Fleurs, and we took a walk there, and I just wanted to give you a little walking tour of what we saw when we were there, so that in case it's an area you've never seen, you'll get a first-hand look at it without having to get up from your armchair. So the apartment that we chose is not in that area. And one thing I should add, this is another good reason why you should contract with somebody like Adrian's office. They're not paying us a commission, believe me. They're not paying us any money to say this, and they're not sponsoring this video. It's just we feel so strongly about the advice and consult that we got from her that we really think if you're an expat and you don't know enough about Nice and don't know enough about dealing with the French people over there, that you really need to find somebody who is an expert. It is very hard to find an apartment rental right now, and maybe I don't know about houses. I just know that the rental market is extremely tight right now. There are very limited apartments there, and that's probably the biggest reason that we decided to jump on one of the only 2 that we saw, because we knew that for every apartment that's out there that's a 2-bedroom, there are probably, half a dozen other people who also are looking for a 2-bedroom apartment in a nice area like we are, where we are going to be. And if we said no, or show me some more things, by the time we got around to saying, I really like that first one we saw, it was going to be gone, because if the landlord didn't hear from us that we wanted it and 6 other people said to her, I want it, that landlord was going to pick from those other 6 people, and by the time we got back to her, it'd be gone. So if you're looking for an apartment in Nice now, get help, get a consultant, get somebody who knows that area and has the contacts. That's the other thing. I think that Adrian's people, they have contacts that know about what's opening up in buildings, and the listings may not even have been posted anywhere online. And if you decide, oh no, I'm going to do it myself, I'm just going to search online on the Facebook forums and on Le Bon Coin, which is where a lot of people post their private rentals. If you think that's how you're going to find an apartment, you have got to be so dedicated to that, because not only do you have to send an email or contact the person. You need to follow up and follow up and follow up. And even from our own personal experience, before we contracted with Adrian, if I saw an interesting listing, I would contact people. I mean, the very first listing that we saw before we even went to Nice in November, there was a guy from the UK, and be advised if you happen to see this one. He was from the UK renting an apartment in the center of Nice, so it was Nice. And it was a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment. I forget how many bathrooms it had. So I contacted this guy, and he said, he was a young guy. He said that he and his wife had a little baby and that they were planning to rent out the apartment until their children were old enough, and then it was their ultimate plan to move to the apartment. Well, first of all, we didn't like the idea that he was thinking of moving to the apartment eventually, because that meant when we move in, when he decided, okay, time for us to move in, he would just end the lease and that would be the end of it. I mean, at the end of our lease, he just wouldn't renew it. So, but he assured me, we had conversations, he assured me it was going to be years before he and his wife and children chose to move. So we said, great. And he was making all kinds of concessions, but his rent, we didn't have to negotiate rent. His rent was right in the range we were looking for. He was including water in that, just as we're getting with our actual new lease that we just signed. Everything was going to be wonderful. And I had said to him, okay, well, we're going to be in Nice in November, at the end of November, and we will contact you to set up an appointment. So about 2 weeks before we got to Nice in November, I contacted him, and he said, oh, I'm really sorry, we changed our mind and decided we're not going to rent the apartment. Well, that was sort of disappointing. So we just figured, okay, well, we'll keep on looking. And so I would contact realtors that I found online who were posting rentals, and occasionally we would get something in the mail, but these people would say to us, I have to tell you, it's a real shortage of rentals, and if you like this apartment, you need to make arrangements to see it like now. Well, we couldn't do that because I was doing this in, say, early October all the way to the beginning of November. So we couldn't go see it now, and we didn't want to commit to anything at that point because we really wanted to keep that meeting with Adrian first and decide if we were going to contact with her. Well, so we didn't find anything in advance, which is why we didn't get to look at any apartments when we were in Nice. So as I was saying about this one guy who had this beautiful apartment and then told me at the last minute in November, oh, we changed our mind. Well, while we were in Nice, suddenly I'm on Facebook and I see that he's posted the apartment again. And I contacted him directly and I said, oh, so you changed your mind? And of course he did not respond. So I don't know whether that was a scam or whether he's really renting his apartment. But if you see that guy, it's a beautiful apartment in the center of Nice. And if you touch base with somebody and he says he's from the UK and it's a young couple, be advised, I'm not sure it's a real listing. And that's what you have to deal with if you don't go through a professional to help you find an apartment in this particular very tight market. That's where we are. So don't think that you're just going to go to Nice and rent an Airbnb and spend a month looking and you're going to find an apartment on your own. Yeah, there are some people who are able to do it, but we found our apartment from the time Adrian's agent got in touch with us to the day we signed the lease was about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, that's it. So, and that included a Zoom meeting with the agent, the live walkthrough, 2 places, and then it included a Zoom meeting with my husband Jeff and I, the management company, and the landlord, which was the very final step to determine if she was going to approve us for that apartment. And by the end of that Zoom call, she said, if you want the apartment, it's yours, which was wonderful. Oh, and they all spoke English, which was perfect. I started the call speaking French with the management office people, the management company that manages the apartment. She spoke French and I was speaking French, and then I forgot that, Jeff's on the phone. He doesn't speak or understand French other than, if it involves croissants. So I suggested that we switch to English so that he could understand, and then the entire conversation was in perfect English. So, it helps to have some French, but I understand that a lot of realtors, because there is such an influx of people from the U.S., in many cases running away from a political situation here in the U.S., because there are so many of us going and moving to France, a lot of the real estate offices are now looking for people who speak English, because they realize they're going to need to speak English to deal with the Americans coming over in these huge numbers. So anyway, that's my advice. Don't trust yourself to be able to find an apartment on your own unless you've got all the time in the world, and all the patience. If you hire a consultant, it doesn't have to be Adrienne, but Adrienne's an expat and her staff, all of them are expats. Hire somebody who's an expert who will do all the legwork and have all those conversations and can read the contract in French, because the contracts are in French, remember. And find somebody to help you so that you're not just standing there pulling your hair out. So speaking of French, after we signed the lease, well, fortunately when we got the lease for our apartment, I don't think this always happens, but the lease, the first part of the lease is a document that talks about the policies for where you're going to be living, the rules, the rental laws, basic things you need to know if you're renting an apartment, and then you have to check that box and sign that part of the lease. And then the next part is the lease. Now that very first part was totally in French. And so in order to understand it, obviously the agent we're working with from Adrienne's office, she read it and said everything looks fine. But when it arrived in our email for us to sign, I literally just copied it and pasted it in sections into Google Translate so that I was 100% on what it said. Then when we got to the lease, they were very nice in that they had each point in the lease in French and then an English translation below. French, then an English translation. So the entire lease was in both French and English, so that there was absolutely no question about what the lease said. So I don't know if you're dealing with a French realtor in France, if they're going to have that for you, or whether you're going to have to hire a translator to come with you when you sign the lease. We didn't have to. It was made very easy. And then one of the first things you need to do after you get the lease is you have to have renter's insurance. The renter's insurance policy, totally in French. So again, I speak French, but I don't speak legal French. Again, I had to copy it in sections and paste it into Google Translate, section by section by section, so I understood what kind of coverage we had. And let's see, what else did we have to do? We got the renter's insurance. We had to, of course, we used GarantMe. So we had to send our information to GarantMe. When you're working with GarantMe, once you're approved, you have to get approved by them first. Then go find your apartment. Then you upload your lease to the GarantMe website from your GarantMe account. And then within about, I want to say maybe an hour or two, they got back to us and they said, okay, all approved, blah, blah, blah. and you then have to forward payment to them. And so we took care of all of that. And I think that was all in French as well. I forget. I'm pretty sure that was all in French. So, you know, French is going to be very important to you if you're moving to France. Even though people will say, oh, everybody speaks English over there. Remember, it's their country. And their primary language in France is French. And that's how they do contracts. They're in French. So again, it's another reason why you want to hire an expert to help you with this. We could have hired what's called a hand holder. And at one point it was suggested that, you know, we hire a hand holder and, you know, she'll take care of the visa and all these other things. Well, I'm stubborn and I decided I'm just going to do this myself. So I did our visa online applications ourselves, and I did everything else. And as far as electric, the management office is going to send me a link so that I can click on the link with the electric company and put the electric for our apartment in our names. So I will tell you about our long stay visa appointment in the next video. So come back for that. And now I'd just like to share with you a nice walk through the Quartier des Fleurs, and I hope you enjoy it. Tonight we're taking off and we are headed in the metro. We've never been to this metro stop before. I have to tell you, it is fairly clean here. Lots of escalators, quite a change from Paris. This happens to be a subway type metro train. Quite a different look and feel here. And where's the graffiti? No graffiti. It's beautiful. Took an escalator down. So tonight we are just walking around in the Quartier des Fleurs, which is an area that we've been advised to take a look at as a potential area to find an apartment in. So the buildings here are quite charming. Everything here in Nice is so clean. It's amazing. I love Paris. It's my favorite city in the world, but I have to tell you, Nice and Paris, as far as cleanliness, night and day. Grocery stores here. C'est pâtisserie. It's very handy. You just walk right up to the window out here on the street. Or if you want it delivered, I don't know how you tell them, but that's how they deliver it, right there on their little scooter. Just noticed the Christmas lights are not on. I wonder if they come on at a certain time. Here's a building. This is the first place we've seen where the railing is decorated for Christmas. Looks like they hung a giant ice cream cone outside. Well, it's kind of hard to see anything beyond the street. But across the street is the promenade, which is the main walkway here in Nice that runs parallel to the beach and the Mediterranean. None of the Christmas lights are on right now. They must come on at a certain time of night. Okay, we've got a bike path right in front of us here. It appears to be a little foggy tonight. There's some rain due. So the tide is in, the beach is very short. And there are the hills of Nice, illuminated. And if you know Nice, there is the Negresco Hotel over there, just to give you an idea of where we are. So this promenade is where we'll walk Bella every day. The airport is out that way. Every now and then we see a plane take off. But at least it's not cold. It's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. There's some people walking on the beach with their little fur baby. If you go online and Google, I think it's I'm Still Standing, the song Elton John did, his video. I'm pretty sure it's that song, but this hotel is in the background. And a lot of the scenes were shot right across the street on the promenade, but you definitely see the hotel in the background. Look how pretty this entranceway is. What a lovely building. So thanks so much for watching this video. As always, it's great to see you. And you know, we're counting down the days until we move. By the time you see this video, Jeff will have 5 more work days before he is a retired architect. And well, one thing that he doesn't know yet, but by the time he watches this video, is his employer gave him a wonderful send-off retirement party at a nice restaurant. We haven't done it yet, so I'm recording this ahead of time. It's tomorrow night, which is Friday, but by the time you see it, it will be Sunday, and the party will have already happened. And you know, I'm sure it'll bring tears to his eyes because my husband is very emotional, and he didn't think that, I guess he didn't think that they loved him enough or something, I don't know. I kept saying to him, are they going to do a retirement party for you? And he said, no, it's not that kind of company. This isn't, we don't do retirement parties. I'm just going to leave. They'll say goodbye. They'll give me my last paycheck. Well, you know, it's not exactly going to be like that. So anyway, I'll take pictures and we'll put them up on Instagram maybe of his special retirement party. So again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. We'll tell you about our in-person long stay visa appointment. And if you're not a subscriber, click, click, click. Subscribe, give me a thumbs up so YouTube knows, hey, that was a good video. We like watching her videos. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Gravel road, I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do